I'm out for a camp in the woods tonight to try and work out what kit to take on a multi-day trip that I've got coming up. The stuff I've brought with me tonight is just one option, but I need your help in locking in the final setup. So let me go and find a spot and then I'll show you what I've got. There's quite a few bluebells around, so I'm trying to find a spot without any. I think this area is looking all right. There's a few over there, but this is all weeds, nettles and grass in the middle. The multi-day trip that I've got planned in the Peak District, it's not a through hike or anything sort of extreme or long distance like that. It's basically just me arsing about in the Peak District for a couple of days. I'll probably only cover about 20 miles or so over the trip. For me, it's more about spending some time in the outdoors rather than covering massive long distances. I'd probably die if I tried to do anything long distance at the minute anyway. I'll be heading up to Kinder Scout, then back down, crossing Lady Bower, up to a couple of the edges, where there's probably likely to be some wind and a bit of rain as well, no doubt. Bought the Lanshan for tonight, so it's going to be this or the Helm 1. I haven't decided yet. A lot's probably going to depend on the weather forecast and the amount of wind that's forecast, because the Helm 1 will put up with a lot more than this, I think. This is obviously a lot lighter than the Helm 1 and gives you a lot more space as well, so it's going to be a bit of a trade-off depending on the conditions. Forecast some rain for tonight and I can just hear it starting to spot now, so I'm going to get this set up and then I'll bring you back for a proper tour. Have you ever seen a Lanshan pegged into a log? Well, now you have. So there it is, as always. It's not perfect, but life's too short for perfection. One thing I haven't done is seam sealed these points on the side here. Now this is a non-pro Lanshan, so it has got taped seams, but those guy out points on the sides are still an area that can leak a little bit, so people tend to just put a little bit of seam sealer around them to seal those off. I haven't done that yet, so if this rain does pick up a bit, it'll be a good test to see if they do actually leak. If they do, I'll get them done. It's just a 5-minute job. I'd totally forgotten about flies and midges and stuff as well. With just coming out of winter, this is really the first time I've been out when the flies and everything are out, and I haven't bought any smidge, so that's one to add back onto the list for the next camp. I've bought the Light Tour 5.8R sleep mat with me tonight as well. This will be my 4th time using this mat, and it's serving me really well so far. It's full of little flies in here already. God damn it. I've just come into the tent to finish unpacking because it's started to rain. So I've got my Light Tour sleep mat, I've got my Ghostbusters coat for later. I've got my bit of the Light AF sleep mat, sit mat type thing. I'll put that under the Light Tour mat because I'm not using a footprint with the tent. This is the Ice Flame down quilt. This is coming back out now. The nights are starting to get warmer again. I bought the Flextail gear pillow out tonight. It seems to be the comfiest one that I've tried. Another thing I've got, and it's not new, I got it second hand off eBay, is one of the Garmin InReach minis, because where I'm going on my trip I'm unlikely to have a phone signal, I think, so got myself one of these second hand. I think I paid 180 quid for it. They're about £300 new, so really expensive, and then you have to pay for a subscription for the months that you want to use it, and you don't have to pay for it all the time, but it's $14.99 a month on like a stop and start contract thing. So I grabbed one to try, and we'll give that a go later, send a message to the missus and make sure it works. I've just got the quilt out and left it to loft up for a bit. I do store it loose, so it shouldn't take too long to loft back up after being transported here to camp. I've got one of the Decathlon pasta bolognese meals for later, and I've just bought my little BRS stove and gas and a little titanium pot tonight. Try not to sit on a nettle. Let's have a go with this then. It pairs to an app, so you can set up your contacts and your default messages, stuff like that. And as long as you're paying for a subscription, I think you can do unlimited check-ins, which just sends your location to your contact or a set of contacts. If you want to send specific messages, then you get 10 of those a month, I think. One of the reasons I like this one versus things like the Zoleo and the Messenger one is that obviously if you fall over somewhere and drop your phone breaks or just runs out of battery, this is like an independent device, so you can use it without your phone. Come back to the app already. Should have probably watched a YouTube video on this before coming out, but then this is why we do these tests, isn't it? I'm trying to send a message from the app. It's put a little arrow on the screen on here, so I'm assuming that means it's trying to send, and I think that's gone, so it stopped sending on the app, the arrow's disappeared. So we'll see if she receives it, and then I need to work out how to actually send them straight from the device. So the good news is she's got the message. We're just working out how she can actually reply to it. So if anybody's had the Lanshan 2 out in any kind of strongish winds, let me know. Let me know what the speeds were. What's the maximum wind speed that you would take a Lanshan 2 out in? I think the Helm 1 should be able to cope with pretty much any wind speed that you would camp in. You know, when it gets too windy, you're just going to go home, aren't you? But I think that's going to be the main decider for me, really, in terms of what tent I take on my trip. I'm pretty much locked in with that sleep mat, the Light Tour sleep mat, and that Ice Flame quilt. I'll definitely be taking that. Pillows up for debate, and clothing as well. I've got my new Ultra Lone Peak boots that I'll be wearing and taking with me. Any tips or lessons that you've learned about gear or anything else while I'm out for a couple of days, drop a comment below and I'll be very thankful. So as suspected, that wasn't as complicated as I thought. So when you send a text message, it goes through to the recipient with text that you put in, obviously, and then a link to a web page and then your name. The web page link takes you to a map that shows your exact location using GPS, obviously, and then they can reply to that message just with a normal text, and then that comes back through to your messenger and the app as well. So it does take 2-3 minutes to come through because it's using a satellite network, not a mobile network, but yeah, seems to work. I guess those GPS devices or satellite communication devices, they are a lot of money, they are expensive, but then if you get yourself into a situation where you need one and you need to be able to send a message or call for help, then they're a bit of a bargain if you look at it like that, aren't they? I bought that meal to have, but I'm not even hungry. I've just been eating so much crap lately, it's unreal. So I'm going to start a new diet called Only Eat When You're Actually Hungry diet. Might get myself a drink though. I forgot to mention earlier as well, I will be taking my Kestrel 48 rucksack with me on my multi-day hike. I did think about getting hold of a lighter weight rucksack, but as I've said before, comfort is king, so I can carry quite a bit of weight in the Kestrel and still feel comfortable and still feel okay carrying it. And that's really the main thing. I've tried a couple of ultralight packs before, a 3FUL Gear one and a Nature Hike one. I didn't get on with the 3FUL Gear one just because it didn't fit me properly, and they're not available in different sizes, so it's kind of fit or forget kind of thing. The Nature Hike one was good, but it did squeak a little bit. Just for a 3-day, 2-night trip, it wasn't worth investing in something else when I've got a bag that works and works for me. I don't like these tie-back things on the Lanshan. I might try and swap those for some elastic. Oh, just kicking my shoes off for a bit now and gonna chill for a little bit, I think. Probably fall asleep. Quilt's fluffing up nicely. Looking forward to getting back in that tonight. It's been a long time since I've used that. Through that never-ending winter. Really mild tonight. What are we on? Let's have a look. 20 past 8 and it's still 11 degrees. So it's saying sunset 20 to 9. It's going to rain between 9 and 10. It's going to drop to 9, I think. 9 degrees. I've bought my down jacket, down boots and everything just in case, but we're in that weird transition period, aren't we, where it could be anything between 3 degrees at night and 12, so either way I'll be fine. Just notice this little loop on the outside here. Does anybody know what that's for? You've got an elastic loop down here that your trekking pole goes through. That's not big enough to put around or through the trekking pole, I don't think, so what's that for? Temperatures are starting to drop a little bit now. And I think it's going to be sunset in about 10 minutes. I'm not going to see anything today because it's cloudy. But if we get lucky, we might get a sunrise over that way. Sure, the birds will be waking me up at 5 o'clock in the morning as well at this time of year. No need to set an alarm. It's amazing how tired you get coming out into the fresh air, isn't it? I've been at work all day though and come out on a school night. While I remember as well, I've had quite a few new subscribers recently. I'm on 11,500 now, which still blows my brain. But I just wanted to say welcome aboard to all the new people that have recently subscribed, and also thanks again to everybody that's been with me from the start of creating this channel. It's been, oh god, what, 2.5 years now? Well over 2 years anyway. And there are still people that watch all my videos and comment on all my videos, so it doesn't go unnoticed. I'm still reading every single comment that I get and replying to every comment as much as I can, even if it's just to put a little heart thingy on it. If I don't write anything back, if you get a heart, it means that I've at least read your comment. And I think recently there's been a bit of a problem on YouTube with comments. So I've had some coming through into my comments view where I go to read them all and reply to them, and they're coming through 3-4 days after you've put them on the video. So don't think that I'm ignoring you, and don't think that, you know, your comments just sat there being ignored. Either I'm not seeing it or it's getting lost somewhere. And it's not getting filtered out or anything, it's just not anywhere to be seen, and then 3-4 days later it just randomly pings up and appears. So it's just gone 9:30, it's pitch black outside now. I'm just chilling for a bit and I'm going to get some sleep. As I said, no doubt the birds will wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning, so unless anything dramatic happens, I'll catch you then. Just started chucking it down, so I'm just making sure that that guy out point's not leaking. Seems to be alright so far, but we'll have a look later. Morning. Well, the rain was quite heavy for probably about a couple of hours last night. The tent's obviously wet through. The outer of the tent's touching the inner now, where the steel nylon started to sag a little bit and got wet, so that's touching. It's not come through though, so it's fine. Guy out points haven't leaked anything through, so that's all good. It's only 5:15, so I'm gonna get a drink and a cereal bar and start to get packed up. I've just packed my sleep mat away, and there is a little bit of water here, but I think it's more condensation from this part of the tent here. This is obviously where my head was, and breathing on this solid bit all night has caused some condensation. I don't think it's come through on the outside. Yeah, this is the only thing with steel nylon, that when it gets wet it sags. This shape you can see through here is the bit of the inner that it's touching. I pull it out, you see that disappears straight away, and the head end's the same. You can see it's touching the inner. So it's just another thing to think about really. The Helm 1 is, I think it's polyester, pretty sure it's polyester, so it won't sag like that if it gets wet. I think the sleep system, so that light tall mat, Flextail pillow and the Ice Flame quilt, I think they're definitely locked in. They're fine. I'm, you know, more than happy with those. Get this wet lamb shank packed away. Don't forget to drop me a message with any tips or recommendations for my trip. Subscribe if you want to come along, and I'll see you next time.